Hard facts.
On 95.1 Nigeria Info.
Alrighty, good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for staying with 95.1 Nigeria Info, your talk station, passionate, trustworthy, conversational. And I hope that you're having a fine afternoon this Wednesday and this is going on really well, really productive. You're checking all the right C's of to-dos today. And if you haven't just set it, 12 minutes after 3, the day is still pretty young, so you can things done, for example. Well, I know I'm one hustle before, but hey, this is starting when you're talking about the show for me. So it means that there's so much that can be on a day like this. Welcome to Fact. My name is Kimberly. Kimberly one, that is. Call me the Oracle and digital worker. That is called ODF, the Felman, one, and I'll say yes to them. And I'm not by myself. You're very correct. Dr. Majid Dahiro is with us in the studio, researcher, columnist, and the tech lead of Luke's Terra Leadership Foundation. Dr. Majid, you are welcome.
Thank you very much.
I was pleasantly surprised, waltzing it in production and
my God.
Dr. Majid is following this. But you know what? It feels like he's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
My friends from all over Africa are calling and talking about it. My mom is talking about it.
I'm telling you.
Like,
my folks in Lokoja also protested yesterday, and I'm like, wow.
Really? I thought it was kitty for today where the protest is going on. It's for Mobad.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yes.
You know, how someone can become so much of a force even after death.
It happened to a lot of people. So something you can say is, we're fortunate in death, something like that. Whatever is the circumstances surrounding his death, I'm sure it will be unraveled with time. And we hope that his legacy, he was quite a talented young man. I never knew him before this incident happened. And he's quite talented. He's one of Nigeria's best hip-hop, Afro-hip artists. And performers too. And he had some very good songs. You know,
I have been listening with rapt attention to his song
and to his
listening
lyrics.
to the lyrics.
And it was quite
There's
instructive.
One we played, it feel good. On the surface, I just hear on God. I never really paid attention until his death. And then the peace song. And then so many songs where
a lot of musicians actually sang their sorrows. Sang about challenges, and some of them predicted their own death. Music. People didn't pay attention because it was just music. Like Winehouse, for example. I mean, she was telling her story, and people weren't paying attention. We were just dancing and nodding to her music until she passed on. So I think same thing with Mobad. He's joined that league of genius that existed, who were talented. Their musical ingenuity was so that they became philosophers of music without they were paying attention. Yes. So I'm sure people will interrogate his artistic works and make a lot of sense out of it. And I hope and pray that the royalties are accruing to his immense body of works. We go to his family and his young son, and that hopefully his friends, his promoters, his producers will keep his legacy alive. And there are unreleased songs, please. But they should package them and release into the market. And I feel all his music continue. May God grant his family the fortitude to bear the loss. And if I play, may God allow.
A lot of accusing fingers at this point, but they are based on accusatory level because 330 panel have been set up by the police. They've not invited the DSS to wade into it.
So they should do an impartial investigation.
Oh, Malian music, they that one. So,
but I think that Amali, who's in the middle of this,
the crosshairs of it,
I think he should come out and actually, clearly state his own side of the story.
People are angry. You think they will hear him out?
No, everyone deserves to be heard, no matter how angry you are. So for me, for example, I'm hoping that Naira Marley will show courage to come up and actually speak out on this issue. Answer some pertinent questions. And indeed, he's innocent, then of course we should all let him be. But if he reveals otherwise, any other action taken by the authorities to prove otherwise, fine, so be it. But I also think we should give Naira Marley the benefit of the doubt to come and say his own side of the story and let certain things rest. So let us hear outside. These are young, talented Nigerians. All of them have contributed so much to the economy through the performing arts, entertainment. But interesting today, one of the most export competitive sectors of the economy today is entertainment, particularly music, hip hop. Yes, and Naira Marley is a major stakeholder there, just like Mobad himself and others, Burna Boy, P Square, Davido, Wizkid, Tiwa Savage, name them. These people are taking Nigeria to the global stage and they are earning for themselves and their local record labels Foreign exchange, because when you carry out, you have sold out shows in some of the biggest arenas in the world, places that Michael Jackson has performed past and. So our own people are now living to that expectation and billing. So they've become a major export economy. Nigeria. And so we must all make sure that peace must reign at all times amongst them. More collaboration. That this energy can be synthesized to continuously break new grounds globally.
Indeed, indeed. Well, let's go for a very quick break and we'll be back in a bit. Stay with us.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
Hello, my name is Kimberly. I'm the host of Hard Facts, and I bring you the biggest stories driving conversation every weekday here on 95.1 Nigeria Info Hard Fact Show. I love to get your opinion and conjectures, but the facts you cannot dispute here on Hard Facts. Join me and let's talk.
This is Nigeria Info.
Petroleum Refinery is currently importing crude oil and expected first crude go in 2 weeks' time. The executive director of Dangote Group, Deva Kumar Edwin, had revealed. Although the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited trades crude oil on behalf of Nigeria, Edwin, in an interview with FP Global Commodity Insight on Monday, said the NNPCL had committed its crude to other entities. The Dangote Refinery, the oil company crude NNP, disclosed last month into a $3 billion crude oil for loan deal with African Export-Import Bank. The deal allowed the company to pledge future oil production to the bank as repayment for the loan. Also, NNPC sources sponsored on Tuesday, the company had entered into a contract with entities, a development that it made it possible for the organization to meet Dangote's need earlier. And the top official of the oil company, however, said plans were already underway to ensure Dangote Refinery's crude oil needs were met in November. Edwin also pointed out that importation of crude by Dangote Refinery was temporary, as they would receive supply from the NNPC from November, and went on to state that the firm would begin the production of up to 70,000 barrels per day of crude that would give rise to automotive oil and fuel in October 2023. For PMS, Dangote Group would use it by November 30, 2023. This came as oil marketers said the price of diesel and jet fuel would only crash when Dangote Refinery start receiving crude oil from Nigeria and not by importing crude. Already we know diesel has gone up 1,000 plus or thereabout. And all of these factors, it feels like a lot is hinged on what it does and doesn't do by November, as it were. And how we get is critics are saying from November you get from NNPC, but it's been imported. And there just seems to be a lot going on at this point. What do you make of it?
A lot is going on. And I'm sure a lot of Nigerians will be apprehensive to say, look, first we have refineries, we're importing PMS. Now our refineries are importing crude oil. So what else is happening?
Exactly.
I mean, how is this sector operated by the operators themselves? Well, if NNPC is saying that it has comments to some other demands for crude export, that's understandable because, yes, it's a continuous process of production and then export. But I would have thought that the Dangote refinery should have been prioritized as it was commissioned, and now should have been that prioritization of supply of crude to refineries as soon as it is ready to take off, so as to maximize the benefit of only locally locally built refinery in Nigeria. Because all of this is to make energy products and services that will come from that facility, not just available, but affordable. I keep making the point. Affordability is a component of energy security.
Exactly. And
that should be a priority. It's a primary priority of government because it forms a component part of national security itself. So what am I saying? This decision shouldn't have arrived in the first place. Except, for example,
The situation of him importing crude.
yes, it's not a very healthy development. And that's what people are saying. Look, if it does not crude locally, by November, prices of some of these products and services might skyrocket, given the upward rise, the rising price of crude in the international market. It's a very important issue. They come up with a clear policy on energy security, which has affordability as a major. The government must prioritize affordability. You know why? It is clear to everybody now the high price of petrol, for example, diesel, aviation fuel, has proven catastrophic to our economy. It's like the very foundation of our economy right now is built on quicksand because of lack of affordability of energy products and services to drive productivity. So it's something that government must look into. Why am I saying this? We have to go back to that issue that we've been running from. Subsidy. I've argued several that if you have private refineries, subsidy must always be in place for local consumption of petrol. What am I? It will be planned for NNPCL to sell crude oil to Dangote and any private refinery for that matter at below the market price of right now over $90 per barrel.
98, as I saw yesterday.
Thank you very much. You sell crude to local refiner at that rate. No country does that. None. Even non-producing countries like China, once the price of gets to a particular threshold, their subsidy regime sets it immediately to cushion the effect of that rising cost because of activity. So we can away from subsidy for energy. Some can never ever run away from. Either subsidize production of it or subsidize its consumption and utilization. So feed it into production. So in which way? It has to be a permanent feature in energy security, which is subsidy, because of affordability of energy security. So something has to be done. Otherwise, Dangote will not lose any. We will pay any price for PS. He can export his PMS, West Africa sub-region. But what would that do to our economy? It's not enough to have a refinery at home. If you have a deliberate policy to give him crude at a counted rate or at low the market rate when it is this high. When the price of crude is not high, as high as you can sell to him at the normal price. But when like this, you should sell to local refiners and below the market price. In fact, you can. Government should sell even at cost price. Yes. It is what is an investment.
So it's another form of subsidy on its own to ensure that we
subsidy
get it.
Was never a good thing. It was never a bad thing. Subsidy is an investment in energy security for the purpose of productivity. And it makes you to an inflationary trend because the cost of production would have been low, not to allow galloping inflation as we are seeing it today. I mean, you look at the buffer between the NLC, the federal government, it looks like there's no way out. The only way out is subsidy returning. Right now, there is momentary subsidy on the price of PMS as now, because we should have gone off giving all this is forex and crude. Even the government realized that subsidy is something that can go away. And so there's subsidy right now. True on the recovery, because NNPCL is so much important. I'm saying that continue even with local refining. It's a responsibility of government. We will come to the constitution if otherwise it's done. So we need to prioritize supply to Dangote. Nigeria needs to ramp up its production of crude. We're producing enough. So I'm hoping that this is not because we're not producing enough. I hope it is indeed because of our commitments and obligations to people who are applying crude overseas.
In terms of...
Yes, but otherwise, if it is crude production crunch, then it's a problem because I'm aware that even the modern refineries are not getting enough supply of crude because of low production capacity of NNPCL and joint venture partners.
It shows that we're the second producer, highest producer in Africa at the moment, even though there's a...
Thank you very much. What is low? It is producing. So Saudi Arabia produces 10 billion barrels per day. They have the capacity to, yes, 10 million. Because Saudi Aramco has become one of the leading oil companies in the whole world, declaring trillions of real and billions of dollars in profit annually. And is employing some of the best hands, some of the eggheads in the industry from all over the world, including Nigeria. They're all inside in Saudi Aramco, inside its other offshore facilities. What am I saying in essence? We need to refocus the NNPC. We need to put in place everything that is needed to run production. And when you look at the issue of crude, get loan from African Bank, and using crude oil to kind of mortgage the loan, it's something but I don't want to go into the details of that transport. I also find it not a very wise decision.
But short term, it's beneficial?
No, it's not. It cannot be. So what are you borrowing that money for? If you are borrowing that money to fix refineries, for example, so that you cannot begin local production of PMS, local consumption and export, Yeah, that's an event. But borrowing it to support the naira, you floated it. Nobody asked you to float the naira, you floated it. And when you've seen the devastating effect of that, you're not going to hedge the naira. And the fact that you announced $3 billion figure you've borrowed, people that are ready to mop $3 billion are just waiting for you to, for that man.
You said so.
And it's going to be mopped up. And so you put another $3 billion against what?
But is there no way to prevent that from happening? If you
The only way to prevent it from happening is forex market in Nigeria is very volatile. One of the factors is corruption. I keep saying, corruption is now denominated in dollars in Nigeria. In the primary elections, you saw it, the medium of exchange for all sorts of corrupt transactions in Nigeria. So our allies now see a status symbol. So we no longer don't spend dollars. This is the case in several other African economies. Though they have some level of stability in the foreign exchange regime. So that has to be tackled. I've not seen it being tackled. Somebody will tell you that, look at the trend. Once the boss fact allocation every month, there's always an order rise in value of the naira dollar against the naira. That should tell you so. So what are we saying in this? We need to also fix governance issues, corruption, rate of corruption, become more efficient, become proactive, become more productive, so that angle is taken care of. Beyond that, one of the ways to be active is to actually fix our local refineries. Because you need to have a product in the oil and gas sector. As we speak today, Nigeria cannot be categorized as an oil-producing country.
Why?
Refineries. So you're not producing oil. You're only extracting for export.
Okay, if it's in that sense.
Exactly. Petrochemical plants that are up and running, you are still wholly almost dependent on all forms of products, AGO, aviation fuel, and all that. So you're not producing these things. But you have crude oil, and you have natural gas in abundance. But you're not able to produce and transform this into niche end products of hydrocarbon derivatives. That is the issue. We need to borrow money, yes, if we must, but put it in productive ventures. Refineries, $3 billion should be able to fix refinery once, maybe. And I've always called for the oil-producing states, not just states,
to get into the business of it.
The choice. Something they must do. We should tell states like Benue, Taraba, Koshura, maybe, to go into full drive agricultural value chain management system with the government leading the drive. I keep saying this. The government is the driver of the economy, not the private sector. Private sector is danger on board the economy. The government is the one sitting on the driver's seat. And common logic tells you that the government is one. Private sector is made up of different components and entities. And so it is the policies of government, it's regulation, it's monitoring that sets the framework for sector participation. So the government must get it right in that one. And government investment is required also in the area of productive economy, both federal and state government, and mostly state government. We want to see states like you, for example, begin to exhaust that can sell into finished products. The same thing with we want to see the Kaduna state government has money to revitalize the textile industry of Kaduna, taking advantage of the vast cotton plantations in and around the northwest and part of the northeast, so that you can produce and process cotton and textiles in Kaduna and ship them by rail to Aba, where to be finished into products for export through of either Ori or port. You see, the circular flow of income, value chain of productivity, we could expand jobs along that corridor. For as long as exports are going and people buy overseas, it will continue to expand. You need more hands to produce more to meet up with your export demands.
Yeah.
That's how you create jobs sustainably. But government must sit on the drivers, roll up his sleeves, and do the need. So in this instance, we must also continue to talk about energy security concerns, Dangote. Because government invested money there. Government did Dangote able to construct that facility, and hopefully it is coming on stream. But I'm saying we cannot sell crude to Dangote at international market price. I continue to buy crude from the international and expect the price of PMS to come. Major benefit that you have to derive from Dangote refinery and another refinery is that prices will be lowered because of home production. If today we are now importing crude at a time that complained that we had crude, we exported crude to import PMS. Now we have a refinery that can process crude. We don't have crude to give to the refinery.
I mean, you said you said something in passing that perhaps this is because gone out of the obligation we have. People have to supply.
Yes.
But it will come to a point where you have to renegotiate certain things.
I'm not saying that. I hope that this is just about that. I hope so. I'm saying this because we have a problem of low productivity of crude. We're not able to meet up with our OPEC quota. We'll exceed the OPEC quota. If a country of 200 million people, one of the leading oil countries in the world, Nigeria is supposed to be doing not less than 5 million barrels per day. So we need to sit down, Need to look at.
Is it a capacity problem for us in doing
I think
or we don't have enough of the residue?
We can have and we should have the capacity. I think it's about management. It's about the political will. I don't know. We cannot talk about these issues, and it seems like I'm taking their jobs seriously. It should not be an excuse that any pipelines are not properly monitored and secured. So they say that you have crude oil theft, and you now have to hire an ex-militant to secure pipeline. That is a mild symptom.
I mean, some days they were even bombing some of the irregular, illegal refineries.
It's a mild symptom of a failing state. When you can secure your most national resource that ends you foreign exchange. It's a problem. It's something that we should not allow to continue. I've not heard of oil theft in Saudi Arabia before. In Norway, in Qatar, in Kuwait. I've not heard of oil theft. I've not. So why are we oil theft in Nigeria? Why can't we ramp up production enough to be able to supply our obligators and local refineries? So this should not persist beyond the time they've taken.
November that is stated.
It shouldn't persist. And even federal government should consider, and I'm emphasizing this, should consider a system where they give crude to Dangote Refinery, another local refinery, at a discounted rate. Dangote Refinery pays taxes. They are Nigerians. Other refineries should do the same.
But would they, there's always a way for pioneer status of some sort. Dangote has received a lot of support from the government, and I want to believe
the waivers he received must be for the company with which he used to construct his facility. He's producing and wants to sell can be taxed based on his income tax. Yeah. And I'm saying Dangote has a major taxpayer in this country. So he's going to pay tax, but pay a lot of taxes and levies. He's going to employ Nigerians. Hopefully, his plan to be running, probably we need to even expand to meet up with the demand for petroleum price across the West Africa sub-region. And
the capacity he's going to produce, I mean, it feels like we need, how much do we even really consume in this country? And put a figure
the good thing is, we're able to give discounted crude to local refiners as a government policy. Not only will Nigerians enjoy petroleum prices at home, it will give us a competitive in the sub-region to penetrate market with cheaper petrol and give Dangote more revenue. He will in turn remit to the federation account through his taxes. So I say in essence, if Dangote floods the entire sub-region with cheaper than what is being produced in Chad, cheaper than what is being produced in Cote d'Ivoire or in Niger, it gives us the edge. Think of it. Nigerians cannot take up franchise, petroleum retail franchise, across the sub-region, with Dangote being their major. So it's a company that can even shut out other player market. Yes, so be it. After the Chinese have done the same thing with their products at home. I
was going to ask you, isn't like a global benchmark set of the price?
There's no global
such that you can't play to your advantage
there's
here.
No global benchmark. Global benchmark is selling to people that don't have crude oil at home. In America, for example, I keep using this as an example. The price of crude is rising like this. You don't have that oil-producing country, but the large demand for oil and derivatives, they import as much as they produce, even though they're a major oil producer. So what is this? First, they will remove taxes from producers of products to see if it will impact possibly on the cost of production. If that's far enough, the American government leases crude from the strategic petroleum reserve to marketers, refiners, at prices they never do to anybody because it's a matter of national security.
Yeah.
And so they release to users to bring down the price of the gallon of petrol in America below the market price to safeguard the economy, to the stability of prices. That is the role of government. They bear the cost. You should be cost for energy security because it should be a priority as a component, a critical element of national security.
All right. Well, we'll get to see. November is almost at the corner. If the tide changes, like Dr. Majid is saying, it will not be a good one for us to think of Dangote Refinery getting crude from abroad. We can supply here within the expelled out all of the disadvantages to that. 2 cents on this. Kingsley Tumo from Ebonyi State is watching us on YouTube. Good afternoon, Dr. Majid. Good afternoon, Kim. Greetings to you all. I see a number of people actually on Facebook. Kamaruddin Akingmiganiyu. Congratulations to Dr. Majid, he says. Sunday Daniel Emmanuel, Nigeria, I see you and congratulations. Mustafa Abu, listening to my favorite reading, that always controls my blood pressure. Doctor, welcome Alhaji Majid. Pele Francis sending more congratulatory messages to Dr. Majid. And on WhatsApp, quite a lot already. Congratulatory messages. Where we see you. And Okay, let's see. Aliyu, all right. There was a lighter note. Anyway, say my very big facilitation to Dr. May's marriage. May the good Lord grant new and Maria all their hearts.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. This country is full of magic. How funny. Dangote Refinery importing fuel as good as we're not having any refinery, and the president sank $20 billion. Nothing to show, and nobody's giving us that beg. Make Russia come. Okay, leave that out. Congratulations to Dr. Majid. Got your union with everything beautiful, obedience. And what baffles me now is that we've soon forgotten the narrative software subsidy removal, which borders on allowing more importers to import petrol and fuel prices crash. Why are we not talking about that? Dr. Majid, God bless you. You're always on point. Kim, anytime you mention those that never subsidy removal, after Dr. Majid mentioned Emmanuel from Lugbe, he never supported it. And God bless the soul of Bad Dangote importing fuel or crude. I think Dangote is not ready for anything significant about the refinery's decommission. They are rushing the refinery that they know too well is not ready to refine crude. We need serious as a people. Ludade Abodun sent that one in. Granted that those major players in the R&B music industry are making us proud by adding more value to our economy. The question remains, are they also making us proud by promoting decency, morale, and human dignity? When will the government wake up to its responsibility of censoring most of these indecent songs that have come to corrupt our young people and undermine values? Wedding, congratulations on your win, Dr. Majid. Edwin from Date sent that one in. Great to Dr. Majid, wishing him a happy marriage. Subsidization of the root of any moral government. If subsidy relegated from governance, then it's a withering government, says Mohammed. A number of the congratulatory messages that
Thank you
a lot
very
of
much.
people are sending you best
Thank you very
wishes
much.
and God's blessings on your wedding. Now, is on, and our president Bola Ahmed Tinubu has asked nations to intervene in Nigeria's protracted battle against insurgency. He spoke in the early hours of Wednesday, local time, while addressing world leaders at the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly at the UN headquarters in New York. The president expressed concern about Nigerians' inability to completely crush the armed conflict, which claimed thousands of lives, displaced millions, noting that insecurity is also exacerbating forced migration on the continent. That in the turmoil, a dark channel of inhuman commerce are formed along the route. Everything is for sale. Men, women, and children are seen as chattel. Yet risk the Sahara hot sand and the Mediterranean cold death in search of their life. At the same time, mercenaries, extremists with their lethal weapons and ideology invade our region from the north. They said Africa would utilize available resources to ensure sees in the battle against insurgency and all whatnot. So it's just calling attention to the insurgency, particularly in Nigeria and the region. And it was also quick to talk the situation being the ECOWAS chair, and also as to the coup that we're seeing on this side of the continent, condemning it and all whatnot. So it's a global platform to table some of the important needs that we have at the moment. And I want to believe this is one critical area. Yesterday, security panels were shot in broad daylight in Imo State. And then, I know people had to put out the video. It's really, really disturbing to see. But it was like, things just happen with unity in this country. It's almost frightening to a certain degree.
No, it is. The height insecurity seems to be here and permanently.
Oh, dear. Well, let's say permanently.
So
there will be a way.
There has to be a way out because it's hurting all of us, it's hurting the country. However, I don't think the responsibility or the job of ending insecurity in Nigeria is not at the United Nations Assembly. Nobody can help if you don't help yourself. Nobody.
What about weapons that would require from them? I mean, it's a global platform. You're saying this is what we're contending with. We have resources. Help us address this.
We're going there to do this. So the question is, why has it not changed anything? Because we have refused to change things. Let us look at the entire theater of war in Nigeria, from the northeast, northwest to the north central, to the south, to the southeast. I think the only place that is really free of heightening security beyond just crime is the southwest. Because why am I saying? The northeast is battling with Boko Haram insurgency. It's a full-blown war. The northwest is battling with called banditry, another form of terrorism. It's a full-blown war. The north side battling what they militarize as former herders clash. And I've said this several that Italy genocide taking place on natives. Now, southeast is battling armed, militant, separatist agitators, under whatever guise.
Exactly.
You call them my pub, you call them ESN. There are a group of people in the southeast that feel that they will break away and form a Biafra republic and arms against the Nigerian state. In the south, you have oil theft, you have piracy. It's a major issue. Threatening to bring our economy down, because that is where we get the revenue of countries from the Niger Delta, the oil wells of the Niger Delta. So the southwest, yet we don't have any such very high complexity of insecurity. It's just really crime. We have criminals, but not organized, internal direction and domestic terrorism as we have in these other 5 geopolitical zones. And the question is, why do we have Boko Haram unrelenting in the northeast? We have banditry in the northwest. Why do we have former harass clashes in the north central? Why do we have separatist agitation in the southeast? Why do we have racy and white in the south? So to solve this problem, a government is supposed to and dig deep on the root causes each of these theater of war.
Because they are peculiar.
Peculiar. That should be the job of the National Security Advisor. That is his responsibility. Not so much as going to court to listen to tribunal judgment. That's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is about by now you should come up with a sound advisory. Collate all other advisories, all other, and say, Mr. President, we need to do this XYZ in this region to solve the problem fundamentally, and then use military to contain concomitant effect. The same thing with the Northeast, the same thing with the South, same thing with the Southeast. And if I may, I've said this several that the problem in the Northeast, the Boko Haram insurgency, is a violent maelstrom of clash of civilizations. It's a manifestation, a violent manifestation of the conflict between faith, or maybe religion, and citizenship, nationhood, religion and nationhood, faith, citizenship. A group of people think that Nigeria is not in consistency with their faith. And so Nigeria has to be pulled down to give way to a country that is in the mode of their religious beliefs. It's a religiously motivated warfare. And I've always argued that didn't start from the Northeast. It is because the mainstream orthodoxy of the Muslim, not Islamic faith, the Muslim region in Nigeria, actually have manifested certain doctrinal embellishments that has enabled the war in the Northeast. And I've said this several times. Nigeria state must step in, control of religion, reverse these embellishments, and bring in conformity with the constitution, the plurality, and the democratic ethos of the Nigerian state. The state must be strong. But a situation where religion has undermined the state because of identity politics, this is something that nobody is ready to do. So you don't want to offend certain demography so that you can continue to win elections. That's why it was possible young lady to have been mobbed to death, and you can't get justice because those who are supposed to dispense justice believe that she should be killed, even though it was against the law of Nigeria and even against the rule of religion that people profess or purport to have defended. But because the general belief orthodoxy is that this is against our religion, somebody somewhere could not enforce the law against killers of that person. So if you can do that, you cannot really bring Boko Haram onto, because for every militant in the war front there are many more that are streaming into it.
Soldiers ready to be
but the ideology is still alive. It's there. It has been weaponized by politicians for the purpose of the election. So the Nigerian state, under successive commanders-in-chief, have not willing to do this. Look, I was at the Boko Haram rehabilitation camp somewhere in Gombe some years ago. Government is aware of what I'm saying. I'm not just like there. It's my opinion. What would that camp for? So-called repentant Boko Haram militants to pay and be rehabilitated. And part of the program is that they bring in religious leaders and preachers to come there, preach the real religion to them. It's one they were taught that led them into this. I interacted with them and I asked them, why were you doing this? They said, Aiki Allah. They told that this was for God. So they are doing that in audition for all to integrate them into the society. But I've advised the military authorities under whose purview that program is done to say, look, the larger society needs reorientation, living discipline. That these people are not the only ones in this belief. The larger society itself is it. That's on one hand. Now, if you go to the Northwest, this thing you call banditry is a conflict between culture and law and order. Yes. It's a cultural phenomenon that has re-emerged because the state is weak and unable to subdue certain tendencies that are acceptable in demography, but is against the laws of the Federation of
Cultural
Nigeria.
tendencies like what? Because in the Northwest, I mean, pronounced in Katsina and Zamfara State, you see the Fulani Hausa dynamics come into play. Is it the cultural, because they do share similarities?
That's what I'm saying. Okay, for example, people trace to the farmer herders clashes even in the Northeast. Somebody simply feels he doesn't respect boundaries. That's a cultural tendency. And he has legitimacy to use...
To graze and...
And has legitimacy to use force and... So, it's a cultural thing. And some other aspects of banditry. But I'm saying that needed to have enforcement of law to such an extent that a cow breeder will have adequate space under the law to breed his cattle in peace with the full support of government. And the farmer will cultivate his land in the same way without it coming in conflict. That is the law of government. And where one crosses the boundary, the law should take its course instantly. It should be instant. Now, Southeast, for example, what is a political process. Buhari's heightened nepotism and marginalization of that, which all of us called him out for, contributed to that sense of alienation. And so by the 50th anniversary of the declaration of the Republic of in 2017, it emotions and passion. And so people at home to say we were told by our fathers that we are not loved in the country. This is a clear demonstration. So I sit at home. I sit at home was so successful that it reignited the Biafra spirit in the Northeast. And with all freedom fight and struggle, it eventually to freedom struggle that some criminals were hijacked to many people that they purport to be defending. So what is the root cause? It is for government to approach this issue, reconciling that region with the rest of the country by dispensing equity, fairness, and justice where it should be seen being done. How about the Niger Delta? Militancy or theft? You can't be taken from a community, and that community has been actually poor since everybody was born. Polluted waters, polluted environment, lack of opportunities. Ministry of Niger Delta has not been able to do it. NNDDC has not delivered. The states with 30% have not delivered on the mandate. So blast and economic injustice is at the root cause of the crisis that is trying to creep us as a country. What am I saying? If you sum all of this factor, it equates to just two words: good governance. The day you begin to demonstrate practical good governance across the country includes fundamentally equity, justice, and fairness to all, enforcement of law and order, equal opportunities in line with democratic principles of our constitution, physical development, integrity in the dispensation of government, business and activities and policies, and government living above board like citizens without pandering to religious sentiments. These issues will begin to come under control, including crime and criminality. And it will also allow government to spend more money on adding the security forces, expand our strength of our security forces enough to contain this internal insurrection. So it's not an easy task to do, and it's not what you can do at the United Nations General Assembly. Come, sit down with your NSA, sit down with your service chiefs, and begin to implement good governance at the core of national security. You can't run away from it. It is something you must do. Otherwise, you can next year, the year after, you keep talking about it. Because they didn't come there to ask to secure their country. They sat down in their country and secured it. They didn't ask for your help. So why you go there to ask for anybody? Who is there to help you? Nobody. You must help yourself. Good governance is at the core.
Even though you did bring up the issue also of arms coming in from
the responsibility of any country to secure. But Nigeria is not the only country in the Sahel. Why are arms not flowing into Ghana? Or Cameroon? Or Cote d'Ivoire? Or Senegal? Or even Gambia? Why is arms flowing to Nigeria specifically and disturbing us? We have porous borders. It is easy to form up your border. So,
and it doesn't seem like we've taken any deliberate decisive step in addressing that.
I've always canvassed for something on them and all my other programs. That look, we have such level of insurrection. While all I've talked about is going on, which is like a mid-term and long-term solution, in the immediate, let us collapse the various vigilante groups that have been established into civil defense in a volunteer corps. Because every country that has faced insurrection internally or insurgency will always counter this insurgency with the people at the front. It's like that. A man is supposed to be able to protect his homestead, farm, his breed of cattle before help comes from it. So what am I saying? Members of the community, well trained, well sieved out, deploy them into the civil defense for proper training and monitoring. The only difference is that this staff strength, the responsibility will be borne by the communities and the state. Because they volunteer, but they're under you, they're under control. If you are afraid that someone might misuse it, bring in former or retired security personnel to form the core of it, as was done with Amote, so they can carry the right caliber of arms to serve as first responders against terrorists, bandits, invaders in their community before conventional forces come into help. It will ease the burden on conventional forces that cannot fight a conventional war with conventional methods. So this should be considered highly at this time. But in states of the Northwest, the civilian JTF we have today should be collapsed into defense and given the right caliber of arms. Amoteku should be collapsed into civil defense and given the right caliber of arms. The last one in Benue should be the same thing should be done to it. All over the country, the Southeast, all over the Atlantic North should be collapsed into
the civil defense.
Yes. One area I want to commend the president in all of this. Yes, I know that people have reservations. What seems to be like a nepotist tendency to in some appointments, but consider
financial space.
That's people are raising eyebrow.
Yeah.
But you see, from where we are coming from, I think even at that there has been some improvement. He's been able to deliberately have some balancing act in place that seems to every section a certain level of sense of belonging. That's the way he's done it. He's work in progress. We must point out that okay, you've done certain things right, which are seemingly united at our allies. They seem to be united even across lines.
Yeah.
It's good for the country. So we can have conversations about good governance or not without pandering to ethnicity. So in the last 8 years, there was this division. So it made it very difficult to have conversation.
Yeah.
Because then it will be charged with ethnic profiling, or you don't like the tribe of the president, or where he comes from. But now you see, it's like all of us are discussing issues now because our allies are all somehow united. That's the plus of the administration and an advantage to us, the people. Right. But I said he can do more in that regard and put in place processes to really strong good governance.
Let's go on a very quick break for the news at the top of the hour, and we're back to hear from you and talk more. Stay with us.
This is Nigeria Informe.